Hi, fans of high-quality entertainment. I'm ranking and reviewing all of Paul McCartney's albums, including Wings. And on my Canadian Studmuffin channel, I'm ranking and reviewing all of the Beach Boys albums. So, the next album is Band on the Run. There goes half the viewers. Sorry, I won't sing anymore. Band on the Run from 1973. And I kind of regret when they were releasing the archive editions, the box sets. I kind of regret I didn't get the box set for Band on the Run. But I'm, pretty happy with the 2 CD and 1 DVD. And it's very well done, of course. It comes with a booklet with the original photos from the vinyl record. So my memories, 58, so I was 15 years old, 1973. And what I remember about this album is not one of my older brothers buying it. Well, actually, I guess the very first time was my brother had moved into his own apartment and I was visiting, and he had Band on the Run on his record player, playing it, and he was just talking about how good it was. And not that he didn't like the previous albums. And at that, right at that time, I wasn't as into the solo Beatles. I was mainly just a Beatles fan. I was maybe disappointed a little bit with, especially Paul's albums back then, but not today, of course. And then I also remember being in high school, and this was talked about in high school, along with, I think it was around the same time as Alice Cooper's Welcome to My Nightmare. Was that around the same time? But I gotta be honest. I've never really cared for this album. I'm just joking. There's some humor on this channel. Very little humor. No, I really liked this the first time I heard it. I was very impressed with it, as was my best friend at the time. He was a big Paul McCartney fan. And going through the songs, I think the only song that I wasn't crazy about was I'm a bluebird, I'm a bluebird, I'm a bluebird. At the time, I just found it a little too twee, one of Paul McCartney's granny music type songs, right? But it is a great song. It's fantastic. And the other thing is, in the UK, the UK version of Band on the Run is different than the Canadian and American version of Band on the Run, because we got the awesome song Helen Wheels on side 2. I guess the record company was pushing Paul because that was a hit single, right? And they wanted that hit single on the album. And I don't think Paul necessarily wanted it, right? But he put it on the American and Canadian versions of Band on the Run. So that's kind of similar to Rubber Soul, the American version of that, with I've Just Seen a Face start in the album. I really like Helen Wheels being part of the Band on the Run album. But on this, it isn't. It's on the bonus CD, which is fine. And I did listen to it last night, just the original UK without Helen Wheels. So I'm not going to review it with Helen Wheels. I'm going to kind of respect Paul's original version of this. But like I said, Helen Wheels is a awesome rocker by Paul and Wings. Just gathering my thoughts. Yeah, so I've always loved, and last night, once again, with my newer headphones, I hadn't played this in a few months, but I know the album really, really well. Only needed to play it one time for this review. But with my new headphones, it sounded amazing. Great production. Props to Paul McCartney's vocals. And the other thing too is, compared to maybe not so much, well, even Ram a little bit, but especially with McCartney and Wildlife, the lyrics on this are much better. That's one of Paul's, I feel, weak points overall in his career, is sometimes, not all the time, sometimes his lyrics aren't the greatest, depending on the album, of course, sometimes. But the lyrics for this are excellent overall. Band on the Run is a great song. I never get tired of these songs. And like I said, I've heard this album many, many, many times. Jet is a great rocker. Bluebird, I appreciate now, and I think it's really well done. Mrs. Vanderbilt, that is a very catchy song. Great chorus. And Let Me Roll It, as great of a song as it is, I think it is my least favorite song on the album. And it's mainly just, it's kind of like the Beatles' Dizzy Miss Lizzy, which only has that one guitar riff throughout the song. And Let Me Roll It has that one guitar riff, and it goes throughout the whole song, and it just gets a tad tedious, I guess, for me. But it is a great song. Don't get me wrong, but it's my least favorite. And then I really like Mammonia. Some once again, great background vocals by Linda and Denny Lane. I feel one of Paul or Wing's most underrated songs is No Words. I love that song, especially Paul's vocals in it. And then Picasso's Last Words, Drink to Me, which of course was written when Dustin Hoffman, the actor, was saying to Paul, hey, can you just write a song on the spot? And then I guess there was a newspaper article on Picasso, and Paul wrote a song right with him there. And ending with, for me, one of Wings and Paul McCartney's greatest solo songs, 1985. It is a masterpiece. I love the piano. I love Paul's vocals. I love the ending where it kind of builds and builds and builds, and then kind of almost explodes back into that little bit of Band on the Run from the beginning of the album. So yeah, this is a fantastic album, and I know it's a lot of fans' number one or number two favorite, and I don't blame them. But that being said, I'm giving this a 10, and I've received a comment already, like, oh, I wish you were my high school teacher. All I'd get were our A's and A minuses and all that. And it's because, and I'm just starting this series. Once we get into the 80s, I don't think there's going to be all A's, right? But I do love Paul McCartney. And I'm going to, if I think it deserves a 10 out of 10, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. But between Ram and Band on the Run, I play Ram probably twice as often through the years as Band on the Run. And so it's still in first place, but Band on the Run is in second place with a 10 out of 10. It is a fantastic album. And let me know what you think. Do you love Band on the Run more than Ram? I think most Paul McCartney fans would, but Maybe today it's changed because Ram has really grown in stature over the years, and when Band on the Run was released, it was considered a great album right away, even I believe by Rolling Stone magazine. So that is it. That's my review and ranking for Band on the Run. Next up is Venus and Mars. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like the video, leave a comment below, and make sure you subscribe to both channels and check out my other channel with my Beach Boys ranking and review. Bye. I'm going to burp.